Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about 30 Super Carry and whether or not it's a failed round. In case you're not familiar with 30 Super Carry, it is a new round from Federal that's supposed to be an optimal carry round, that provides you 9mm like ballistics, but with extra capacity because it is a smaller diameter round. And someone the other night asked me, do I think this round has shown any signs of being successful, or is it pretty much a failed right out of the gate round? Well, I'm going to have to say, and keep in mind, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. For some reason, a lot of people in the gun community get their feelings hurt if you say something bad about something they like. So if you are a big fan of 30 Super Carry, you might want to turn this off now, or at least put your fingers in your ears and hum and go to, your safe space in your head, because I'm going to say some things you're probably not going to like. I honestly do think that 30 Super Carry is a failed round right off the bat. It's just not taken off, and I don't think it's going to take off. And I'll tell you why. Now, I also think there's a reason it could take off, but I don't think it will. And like I said, I'll explain it here. The reason I don't think 30 Super Carry is being successful is I don't think it is a good enough round to supplant 9mm. 9mm is just better at everything than 30 Super Carry, except for getting an extra round or two in a magazine. That's the only difference. Now, back in the day, rounds smaller than 9mm were acceptable because you couldn't really get small guns in 9mm. If you had a small gun like a PPK or something like that, it was usually a 32 or a 380. You didn't see a lot of small 9mm guns. These days, there's tons of small 9mm guns. So you don't need a lesser round than the 9mm to have a small gun. Also, a lot of these small guns have pretty good capacity. I mean, if you're looking at 12 rounds of 9mm, that's pretty good in a small gun. And having 13 rounds of a lesser caliber, isn't that enticing? Even 14. Most people would be like, well, I'd rather have 12 rounds of proven, more powerful 9mm than I would, 14 rounds of 30 Super Carry. Because let's face it, 30 Super Carry is not as powerful as 9mm. 9mm is heavier, it's got wider diameter, it's bigger, it hits harder, it has more energy, it's just better at hard barriers, it's just a better all-around round. And it just can't supplant 9mm in performance. And it doesn't give you enough extra capacity to make up that difference. So most people are going to just stick with 9mm. And they're going to shy away from 30 Super Carry. Plus, it's another round people have to stock up on if they buy a gun in it. There's just all kinds of reasons it's not doing well. That's one of them. Like I said, it's not powerful enough to push 9mm out of the way. The added advantage of capacity isn't that great. And it's another caliber you have to stock. It's kind of like 327 in revolvers. The big selling point of 327 was instead of having a 5-shot snubby, you can have 6 rounds. Or instead of a 6 rounds, you can have 7. Well, most people would rather have 5 rounds or 6 rounds of 357 Magnum than 6 or 7 of 327 because it's just not as powerful, doesn't do the same thing. And plus, it's another round people would have to stock. So much for the same reasons 327 hasn't exploded, I don't think 30 Super Carry is ever going to become a big part of the market. Like I said, it just doesn't come close enough to 9mm to make it worth it to have it a couple extra rounds. To make having a couple extra rounds worth it for the small decrease in performance. Now, one thing it is better than is it's better than 380. So if we were looking at 380, if we were saying, hey, could this ever replace 380? If that was a possibility, I think it could really excel there. Because there are still a lot of 380 guns on the market. A lot of people don't like the recoil of 9mm. And 30 Super Carry has less recoil. But it's more powerful than 380. It's quite a bit more powerful than 380. If you were looking at 9mm up here and 380s right here, well, 30 Super Carry's more up here. So it is definitely more powerful than 380. So if we start seeing guns like the Beretta Cheetah, the new 80X is coming out. If the 80X was in 30 super carry, that would be an improvement. I would think that was awesome. If Walther started putting out a PPK in 30 super carry, that would be awesome. You'd be getting more power than you got with the 380, and you would also be getting more capacity because the 380 is the same diameter as 9mm. And the 30 super carry has less diameter. It's smaller. So that would be a win-win. More power, more capacity, but still not so powerful that these little 380 guns would be uncomfortable to shoot. So that would be a big win for it. And that's where it would really excel. The only problem is the round is smaller in diameter, but it's pretty much the same length as a 9mm. Most 380 guns are designed around a shorter cartridge, the 380. So you can't just slap, a 30 super carry in it. A lot of 9mm guns, you could just slap 30 super carry in a magazine and change the barrel and extractor, and you could probably have a quick changeover. But when it comes to 380, they're set up for a smaller round, a shorter round. So that means these guns would have to be redesigned. And are these guns selling enough that people would want to, that manufacturers would want to, hey, let's put a lot of money into redesigning a gun that sells okay in 380? Would it sell great in 30 super carry, or would it still just sell okay and people would stick with 9mm and we would have just blown a lot of money redeveloping a bunch of guns for a caliber that might not be around for very long, or at least may not be very popular? So I don't see 380 guns becoming 30 super carry, simply because, like I said, even though there is advantages, those just aren't high volume guns these days. Now the 80X coming out could change that. The Beretta Cheetah, if it becomes really super popular and then they did that in a 30 super carry, well then if that was really popular, that might spur other 380 guns to be redesigned and re-released in 30 super carry. And in that situation, I think it would really shine. But when it comes to replacing 9mm or being even a viable alternative to 9mm, I just don't think it does enough. It doesn't give you enough extra rounds to make up the difference in ballistics. And the difference isn't much. Like I said, if you're comparing 12 to 13 or even 12 to 14 or 15 to 17, you're going to go with the 9mm even though it's a couple less rounds. Overall, it's not that big a difference. And it's a proven round, more powerful round. So like I said, if it could snake its way into the 380 market, I think it would do very well. Like an RM 380 in 30 super carry would be a cool little gun. But as far as replacing 9mm or being, like I said, a viable alternative to 9mm, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it happening right now. It's slowly dying, and I think that's pretty much going to be what this round does. It's just going to fade away and become obscure and not very popular. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. Before I go, I want to thank everybody who went over and bought Prepared Bear t-shirts. I don't know what happened the other day. I didn't even mention them. But for some reason, in one day, we sold like a dozen Prepared Bear t-shirts. And all that money goes to help fund Pets and Vets programs, so I'm really happy about that. Like I said, don't know what happened, and 12 might not seem like a lot, like a dozen shirts may not seem like a lot for big channels, but for me, that's huge. I seldom sell 12 of anything. So I don't know what happened. I don't know why people went over and bought that shirt so much the other day, but it seemed to explode over the course of a couple hours. And like I said, sold like a dozen shirts and then some mugs and stuff too. So I wanted to thank everybody for that. I thank you. The Pets and Vets programs, thank you. I don't know why it did it, but I'm glad it did. And like I said, thanks once again. And with that being said, I am out of here. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I appreciate everything everybody out there does to help make the channel successful and help support the programs the channel supports. I do appreciate it, and I hope everybody continues to show their support in the future. And I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I just want to remind everyone out there to always carry and stay safe until I see them again. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Just wanting to remind everyone, if you want to support this channel and the programs that we sponsor, or you just want some official Yankee Marshall Posse merchandise, you can go over to tymppistolproject.com, and there is a wide selection of merchandise over there. Pick yourself out something, buy yourself something nice, Anytime you buy a t-shirt, you get 2 entries into this month's friend drawing. You buy any other item, you get 1 entry into this month's friend drawing, and all profits go to the Pets and Vets Fund that we support. So go on over, get yourself some merch, help save an animal in need, and maybe win a prize. Hey everyone, Yankee here. You know, in my videos, we often cover some complicated subjects with a lot of gray area. So if you would like to further discuss anything said in my videos, please join us in one of my live chats. Live chats are held most days at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Monday and Wednesday when they are at 5 p.m. Pacific. There is a clickable link to the live chats in the upper right-hand corner of this video. If you disagree with anything I've said in a video, feel free to participate in Spank the Yank. You can come on the live discussion panel and let me know face to face how I was wrong.